because I do 1,300 crunches and sit-ups 4 times a week.
What's a dose? Can you translate for us?
Winner of the gold medal and the champion golfer of the year is Ernie Els.
All right, everyone, welcome back to the Go Track, the podcast about golf and golf-adjacent stuff, mostly from Africa. TBag here, got the full Go Track crew all together. JDV, how art thou?
Very well, thanks, Terence. Nice to be in person.
It is very nice. Hoff, what's cracking? Nice to see you with the red knob in your hand again. It's been a while.
It has been a while, Terence, and I always feel that much more relaxed with that red knob in my hand. So
I was going to say, it's been a while since we've done these jokes as well.
Every time.
Yeah, we are all together today. We're sitting in a company boardroom, which we were just talking offline now. When JDV booked this, it triggered a warning, which went straight to our RT director. Shout out, Matt. JDV, you're a rookie, but you need to always use a boring meeting title like employment equity or
budget,
disciplinary hearing. Clearly, they're onto us here at the Go Track. I remember I had a friend of mine who worked at Standard Bank for a long time, and she said she resigned, and then in her last 3 weeks, she used to just book out Standard Bank boardrooms, and she would put a random meeting title like performance appraisal or whatever, and she would just watch movies. She would just pull the blinds closed and watch. Shout out to all the Standard Bank employees, but yeah.
Well, I must say, at least she was better than one employee we had that didn't even take the time to go into a boardroom to do that and just watched movies straight at her laptop during a notice period. So.
Yeah, didn't realize I wasn't allowed to use your internet to download all of these particular items. Yeah, nice to be together, guys. JDV, what's been happening? Been on the golf course since we last spoke?
Terence, I've been at the golf course too much. Kath did accost me the other day and say, how do you feel your golf goal is going, playing less golf? So I said,
What are we on now?
I think I'm on 25 rounds. So I'm still, I think, less than the 58 I need to. So I said to her, look, I only need to be one less than 58 and I've achieved my goal. But I have been playing quite a lot. And it's been showing, Terence, because I did shoot one of my best rounds ever, and probably I think my best round at Cotswold 2 weeks ago. So I feel like I'm hitting a bit of a purple patch, and got a big knockout match happening.
What did you shoot?
I shot a 76. So, yeah.
How many points was that?
It was 43 points, individual points. Needless to say, I won the individual comp, although I still am not too sure what my prize is. I know Josh, who's at the clubhouse, listens to this podcast. So, Josh, if you want to just send me a WhatsApp and tell me how much store credits I've got,
you might get a horse's head in your golf bag from the members if you keep getting 43 points. So you must have had a huge cut then.
Yeah, so I got cut a full, I think, shot and a half, and then I went out, and then I went out and shot another pretty low, sort of 81 at Cotswold, and got cut another half a shot. So I'm 2 shots down in 3 rounds of golf.
That's awesome. That's so good to hear. I've just gone out a full shot in the last 4 rounds, so I feel like could be a good time to have a match. We've had a couple of videos of you just consecutively smashing the 13th hole at Cotswold. So obviously, things are going well on that front.
Yeah, it's been going okay. I've been finishing it. So in terms of that golf goal, it's quite lacquer to finally finish my home hole after 9 blanks in a row. I've now got two bogeys there in a row, but it doesn't help me with trying to go for eagle. And unfortunately, that comes down to the drive on both times. We have sprayed it a bit right, not right enough to be out of bounds, but pretty close, to be honest.
Well, you should have. I mean, based on those videos, you should have parred it at least one of those times. I mean, you lipped out pretty heavily.
Yeah, both of them I had a putt for par.
Yeah.
Both of them the putts went too far away. So if I can if I can try and get that drive going, I think I've got a chance. But yeah, I had a good an enjoyable round the other day at Cotswold. I used the word enjoyable very intentionally because I shot 108. So usually I'd be pulling my hair out with that, but I haven't played for a while, of course, and I actually hit the ball quite nicely. Sort of deviated away from the stack and tilt for a while, and that's probably why it was 108, not sub 100. But yeah, I chipped well, putted well, so that shows that the rest of the game is in a dodgy place. But yeah, I had a good time.
It reminds me, actually, I saw a Payne Stewart stack and tilt video. He's got to be like an original stack and tilter on Instagram that I meant to forward to you, so I'll send that to you.
Payne Stewart on Instagram nowadays.
Well, it was on Instagram. He's definitely not on Instagram.
Do you know who Payne Stewart is?
Yeah,
right?
no, that's why I'm asking. I'm like, shit, has he come back from the dead for this? But
his flight's just landed.
I was gonna say, Hoff. I played Royal, and we've also played the 9 holes at Camelot. And if you want some par 5s that are absolutely ripe for the picking for your Eagle Challenge, I think you need to get around in at Royal and at Camelot. There's some pretty eagleable holes.
To be honest, the 13th at Cotswold is very eagleable without taking driver, and I think I need to get away from that thought in my mind that I have to take driver, because obviously driver, if you've got a slice like I do, I usually would use the word baby fade, but a slice is more apt. Then it's obviously more pronounced with driver, and yeah, my hybrids in that are actually a lot easier to hit and more consistent at the moment. So if I can absolutely screw one of those down the middle, then I might have a little bit of a crack with a 3-wood from there. Maybe a little bit far, but yeah, I think I need to change my strategy there. I mean, on one hand, as I say, it's working that I'm finishing it, but on the other hand, you know, I don't have a hope at
I think par's your new frontier there. Guys, I think we are going to do a golf goals catch up. It's got to be kind of mid-year, I think. So we're coming up now, sometime in the next month, we're going to do a golf goals catch up. And we might ask people to maybe send in their recommendations for par 5s you should play. I mean, we are in the middle of winter here. So in KZN, it's almost the perfect opportunity. Otherwise, a little trip up to Joburg and to play some of the hard and fast courses up there. But yeah, we're going to zig now. We've got a topic today, and I'm going to be sort of handing the seats over to Jacques once again. But maybe just like a bit of infill from my side. So I had the Gowrie Farm Club Champs this last weekend. Really fun weekend. I must say, like, awesome members at that club. Just no frills people, you know. Nice bunch of people. Interesting seeing how many people I met who had recently moved from Joburg to Nottingham Road, who are now members there. In fact, every single person I played with at Club Champs had recently moved there in the last 3 or 4 years. So Notties is changing a bit. But that was a small field, eh? There were probably only 50 members who played in the Club Champs. Maybe 50 men, maybe there were 10 ladies. So, yeah, shout out to the guys who were serving Midlands brewed distilled rum on the first tee. That was quite an experience, having a little rum tasting before we teed off. That was high quality. What can I tell you guys? Just maybe a couple of updates. Couple too many golf carts out there, guys, for my liking. Doesn't seem like all the members are buying into the embracing the walking as they should be. And honestly, couple young, fit-looking guys driving golf carts on their own wasn't that impressed. Just saying, guys, time to get off those carts. Look, there are a few guys who had injuries and that's all good. But I got to be honest about my home club. Okay, golf course. I'm going to save my takes a little bit on the golf course, Jacques and Carl, until I really want you guys to play the golf course. I really want Carl to actually go back to Gowrie. But JDV particularly, I want you to have a couple goes around those new holes. And then I think we can have a deep dive chat, because they are, I've mentioned before, they are quite memorable and provocative, the new holes. And I'll just say this, at least one of those new holes definitely has the membership pretty divided down the middle. There were some, as I'll mention later, there were a couple of big numbers on one of the holes, which is a drivable par 4. And the membership are a little divided on that particular hole. There's a bit of a car crash scene there.
Cart crash.
Yeah, you could definitely crash a cart there as well. But one thing I will say is the old holes at Gowrie, the original, what I would call the original holes, what I think is quite cool, without getting into them specifically, is kind of seeing they're all sort of settling into their own identity, because now you're not playing those holes twice. So the 10th hole now, as an example, which used to be JDV the 12th. So you would play the 11th, the par 3, and then you used to play that 12th, which is straight down. That's now the new 10th hole. And it's a really cool par 5 now. The tees are way back. And and then the 15th hole, which is also another one of the par 4s that you used to play twice. You played it almost at 90-degree angles. That's now got its own identity. There's a whole bunch of new features on the holes. And now when you play them, you aren't like, oh, this was a par 3, now I'm playing it as a par 4. It's quite lacquer, and they've added new features on pretty much all of those holes. So going around those holes a couple of times now, they also kind of, have come into their own. Conditioning of the course was really good. I mean, the greens were as fast as I've ever seen them at Gowrie. I think on the first hole, I was playing with a member who plays there often, and he hit his first putt, and I didn't think it was going to get to the hole, and it literally went 15 feet past the hole, and he just looked up and he was like, "This is going to be a long day," and I was like literally shitting myself, because I'll tell you why now. But a couple of the pins out there, I think some of them were borderline greenskeepers' revenge more than club champs. I mean, they were in locations that I've never ever seen before, where literally it was breaking two like almost similar putts, a meter apart, were breaking in different locations. So I saw some contours on those Gowrie greens that I've never seen before. And I'm sure Cotswold is the same now with the speed, but on a lot of those putts, you had to leave it. You almost had to try to stop the ball like a meter from uphill of the hole, because it would literally, those last few oscillations would almost be a meter, that it would just do that slowly if you were trying to lag it.
Is it not a situation where you are forced to sort of hit certain parts of the green
100%.
or miss it on certain parts of the green? I know at Cotswold, and the 18th is a good example at the moment, where it's that front flag. I mean, watching my dad play it, he putted straight off that green. I mean, he had to go back to the cart to fetch his 60 degree to get back onto 100%, the green.
Yeah.
But I mean, the play there is you've either got to be short or you've got to be on the right tier. So I mean, it's not a situation of maybe greenskeeper's revenge, but having to do more than just hit the green. You've got to hit a specific portion of the green.
Oh no, 100%. You and even with your lag putts, if you somehow, like if you had an uphill putt, let's say at birdie or par, and you banged it past the hole, now you had like a 3-foot downhiller, which let me tell you didn't want, So you almost had to lag your putts to the right spots as well. It was really, it was tricky. I mean, just to give you an example, like on the first day, there was only 3 guys who broke 80 across all the members. So that includes A division, and I mean, there are plenty of good golfers there. Daniel Green, who won the club champs, I mean, he's just sort of come off the Sunshine Tour. He played on the Sunshine Tour for many years. I think he was 7 over for the weekend, So, and he won. Look, he did play the second round in a kilt, but I don't know if that had any bearing on it. But look, it wasn't playing easy, but. Maybe going into how did I play, and then this is going to be a good segue into our topic, or into your topic today, JDV. But so just maybe a bit of context. I am sort of fighting my swing at the moment, big time. My dispersion circle is very big, particularly off the tee, and even with my irons. it's super inconsistent. Like one straight, one left, one right. It's not great. So I was kind of going in there with that kind of mindset. Started the first day with an 8 on the par 5, 10th, and I was 20 meters from the green for 3. So, your mind starts going quickly. You start doing the maths after getting triple on the first hole, and you go, I might like average double bogey on every hole, based on how fast these greens and that are. I was like 100, 110, 120, like literally could be on the cards here, your mind goes quickly. But after that, I must say, I really hung in pretty well. And then I shot 44 on that front 9, had a really sick birdie on the 18th hole from completely dead in the fescue. Sunk a great putt there. Back 9 was not amazing, but I never ever had that like implosion hole. So I had 45, so it was 89 after the first day. Day 2 was honestly, so day 2 we played the course in the normal order. I was really in control for the front 9. Shot 41.
Okay, so you were probably in it.
Which are on the new hole. So at that stage, I was like, look, the guy winning the B division shot 79. He was one of the guys who broke 80. So I was a good 10 shots behind him. He would have had to have had a big implosion. But I was definitely in it on the nets for the nets tournaments. And anyway, just to set the scene for what happened on the back 9 was on the 9th hole, which may or may not be one of the contentious holes at Gowrie. But one of my playing partners, who's a pretty decent golfer, he was playing off a 9, and me and him were actually even sort of on that day. I stood there on the green and watched him make a 10 on that hole, and when you see that hole, you'll see that at 10, big numbers are very much on the cards on that hole. There's some serious hazards around the green, and it's like watching a car crash. It's like a murder scene, and it gets pretty awkward,
Yeah.
because you can see the steam starting to come out of the oak's head, and me and the other oak are like on the green, we like, it's still you, and he was going from one bunker to the next, and then he had to take an unplayable, and like it was. And honestly, he actually did pretty well to make a 10. So when you see something like that in front of you, it's like seeing a snake when you're walking in the bush. All you think about then is like snakes, So I just thought, I haven't had a hole like that. Let's just hope it doesn't happen to me, And anyway,
which is not a good thought to be going into the final 9.
You sort of feel like it's out there. It's out there. And anyway, played the 10th and the 11th and 1 over. Get to the 12th hole, which you'll if you remember now, the 12th hole is the very short par 3 at Gowrie. So it's got that dam behind it, and it's got those 4 deep bunkers in the front. Shortest hole at Gowrie, but it's never easy because there's wind. You don't know what club to take, and they had tucked the pin like all the way on the left. I'd never seen the pin there before. So this guy goes first. He hits me and his yardage were very similar. So he hits a wedge and just catches the wind. The wind was into us, and it dumps it in that front bunker. And the day before, I'd landed in that front bunker. In fact, I think the last 3 times I've played that hole, I've landed in that front bunker. And like I was like, those bunkers are deep, eh?
Yeah.
And you've got to hit a great shot to get out of it.
And you can also be in that grass in those bunkers as well.
So I said to myself, whatever happens, I'm not going to be short. So I took a 9-iron, which is the right club, but I hit the wrong shots because I sort of have 2 shots that I can hit with my irons. The one is where I just sort of have my normal swing, and that normally ends up being like a left to right, like fade, which will catch the wind. Or I can sort of hit a shorter follow through, which is a bit more of a punchy like draw. So I had the right club, but I hit the wrong shot. So I hit that like punchy draw because I was like into the wind and whatever. Anyway, like straight at the pin, which is not where I was hoping to hit because it's a very small part of the green. Literally went 2 meters over the pin, hit the back of the green. So it was a really good shot. Like at one stage I thought it was going to be good, but there's a bunker behind it, bounced down into that bunker. So go down to that bunker, and now this is where I'm definitely going to be a little bit critical. There was some of the talk is that they're still trying to get the sand right across all the bunkers at Gowrie. I mean, we've spoken about it before.
Bunkers or a hole in the ground.
Yeah. So look, some of the fairways are the bunkers are always going to be like they are. They're more sort of like wastish areas, which I'm totally fine with. You can hit out of them. But around the green, I'll just say that I haven't quite got consistency in all of the greenside bunkers. So that I'm not making excuses, but that bunker did not have like a lot of sand in. Okay, and so I get to my ball, and it also the worst thing is I get to my ball and it's right at the back of the bunker on the downslope. And now it's probably 2 meters to get back up onto the green. It's you've really got to hit a really, really good shot. So now I'm like on the downslope or whatever. So just don't hit the ball nearly hard enough. Doesn't even
Thoughts of the car crash from your playing
doesn't
partner
even
in your
fly
head already.
out and now the guy's on the other side, so you're worried about teething it into them or whatever. Doesn't even fly out the bunker. I just basically plop it into the middle of the bunker. So now I had a pretty good lie. Still not a lot of sand, but it's not like hard. I'm not gonna blame the sand. There was enough sand to hit a shot there. Hit a good shot, try to get a bit cute with it, and got it out the bunker, landed on the green, but the green sort of slopes back down towards the bunker. So it just landed on that pinnacle and then literally just turned around and came back to my feet. So now that's 3, okay? So now the ball rolls back into an even worse spot, like very, very little sand. Now I'm starting to, like the red mist is starting to descend a little bit. So now I hit a very rapid swing. Oak's already like, take your time, you know. You can very rapid swing, shank that one into the lip of the bunker. Luckily, it comes back down. Okay, so now I've hit 3, so I'm hitting 5. I was like, fuck, I'm getting out of this bunker. I'm like, so hit the ball hard, way too much, way too close to the ball. Hit it. I mean, it's a good bunker shot, but just hit it way too far. Ended up over the green into the bunker on the other side of the green. Okay, so I'm lying
6.
5.
Oh, you're hitting 5 line.
Yeah.
5 now, yeah.
So 1 in the bunker, I hit 4 in that bunker, and then the 4th into that other bunker. So now Oaks are like, now they start going quiet, you know. They like.
So you're lying 5, playing 6 now.
Yeah. So now I'm that guy. The other Oaks are already on the tee box. Oaks are watching because it's a car crash, you know. It's like there's some sort of
There's rubbernecking going on.
There's rubbernecking going on, exactly.
The guys on the box
It's
are
like
like 2 to 1. He throws his club.
It's like a morbid fascination, you know. And I know the guy I was playing with, because me and him were sort of even on the front, and then he had that big blowout. So I think, you know, he was like, oh, okay, then our match is evening up a little bit here, you know. But anyway, I get to that ball, and that ball it's impossible for me to play the ball back onto the green. It's lying so close to the back lip of the bunker, that the only option was I had to go back sideways, back towards the tee. Okay, so now I hit 6 sideways. I had no stance. Sideways, back towards the tee. So now, now I'm lying 6. Sitting on fairway that is like as tight as this table, and I've got to hit a flop shot basically over that big front bunker
with water behind.
And I was just like, and everyone's standing, and I had up there were at least like 12 people watching me now. I think even the second group had come up onto the tee,
which doesn't make it any less pressurized. Having 2 groups on the tee now
and
waiting for you.
Oaks are like, do you need another club? Like, just take your time, you know, whatever. And I was like, I had my 60 degree in my hand already, and I was just said to myself, I was like, you know what? Like, I've just got to fucking hit a shot here. I've just got to hit the shot, you know. Didn't aim at the pin because there was no space near the pin, so I just aimed towards the middle of the green, and I hit a really good shot. I cleared the bunker, middle of the green. Anyway, that was it. 2 putted, and that was me. 9 on a par 3, and that was pretty much the end of my run at the club champs. But after that, it was like the car had crashed and was never going to come back to life. I then tripled the next hole, and I basically. Short story, not a very short story, but I went the last 7 holes I played in 16 over. Having been 6 over, I played in 16 over, and I found out. So I actually made a really an awful triple on the 18th as well, where I hit a great drive, and then I literally chunked my.
So
lay up.
is the 18th the green by the clubhouse again? So they got rid of that. So it's a 3. You play
It's
on there, and then you lay up where the green, that area by the green, and then you go across. Or you can sort of.
Or you can go for it. I mean, quite a few oaks were going for it. It just depends where you hit your drive. You still hit from the same top of the tee box there. But I literally chunked my layup. Oh no, I chunked it. Then I hit another. It was a car crash, and the pin was on that very, very top tier on 18, which you can like 5 putt to get up there, you know. And I found out afterwards if I'd parred the 18th, I would have actually still tied for the net winner of the B division. So even with the 6. So anyway, that was my story, Oaks. And I think it's a good segue into our topic for today, which JDV, you can.
I mean, I was going to say, you mentioned earlier you want to get Carl to play Gowrie, and you tell a story like that where I can't get out of a simple bunker. Jeepers
Why wouldn't you want to play there? That sounds amazing.
Oh no, it sounds like so much fun.
I hope they have a no placing rule for club champs.
Oh yeah.
Okay, well,
yeah.
just checking you purists.
So placing is only on the new holes because the fairways are still a little bit like they're still growing in.
Okay.
So there was a placing there, but the other holes are you honestly don't need, like, you didn't need a place, like the quality of the fairways and that is really good.
We've had placing issues at Gowrie before.
Yeah.
But half medal is flipping terrifying.
No, medal's horrific. I wouldn't do medal if you paid me.
Knowing that, like, you could literally keep going.
I've watched a Jacques de Villiers car crash in medal before at Kloof Country Club on the 3rd, where he was playing. I think you were like 1 over at the time.
It was after playing the 9 before.
Yeah, we played the other way around, and he put his first into the drink, and the smile was still on his face. He was a little bit disappointed, but the smile was still on his face. And then the 2nd, and then the 3rd, and then eventually a club got thrown and was like, "I'm out. I'm not playing medal anymore.
I'm out of medal. Take me out the comp." The one I at Club Champs at VCC, I think it was a couple of years ago. They played the back 9 first, and on the 18th par 5, I think he shot 22 on that hole, and he just walked straight to his car after 9 holes and went home. He didn't even finish.
I met guys in the pub, like, on Saturday evening who were like, I was like, "Oh, why aren't you playing?" They were like, literally, they still are like scarred from playing medal last year. They were like, "Nah, I just, like, it was too much for me." They like, it was their 2nd hole of Club Champs, and they made like a 15, and they were like, I just couldn't carry on. Like,
it's tough because you sort of don't know what to, and again with the medal, you don't know what to do anymore because you like make a 15 or something, and then a day and a half of, I don't want to call it work because it is fun, but goes down the drain. You're like, well, what am I playing for anymore? I've ruined this.
So much.
But the thing is, Jacques, is that I kind of enjoyed the challenge of, like, not having that hole. Obviously, I eventually did have that hole, but, like, I enjoyed that of, like, because a lot of the decisions I made out there were, like, super conservative. Do you know what I mean? I was always just trying to get back on the fairway. I was never trying to hit and when I think back on it, like, that first bunker shot that I hit was stupid. But, like, it was literally a pro level shot that I was trying to hit. I literally should have turned around and hit out of the sand. It would have been on an upslope just into the rough behind the bunker, or even there's a little bit of, like, a short grass there. And then I could have putted or chipped up onto the green and whatever, made a 5, even a 6, So I don't know. It's terrifying though.
It does. Well, I mean, you talk about that at the Club Champs today at Cotswold. I mean, I made that. We also played the back 9 first on the 2nd day. Made a 10 on 18. Also put, I think, 2 into the drink, 3 putts at the green, and I was going along quite nicely. And
I make a 10 there most weekends.
But I mean, you make the 10 and it frees you up, and you say, okay, well, now
Yeah.
I'm just going to go play my game. And I went and played the back 9 or the front 9, but my back 9 and 1 over. But I wasn't playing like that for the last day and a half. I was playing exactly like that.
Survival.
But if you do sort of free yourself, if you're able to free yourself up in medal, and I'm not saying make bad decisions and take unnecessary risks, but hit shots. You're not, as you say, not trying like baby it around and like trying not to miss. You often find yourself getting into more trouble.
Yeah, no, that's true. But anyway, that was my horrific golf story. But look, it was just one hole. If I'm honest, I made that 9, and then I had 3 triple bogeys the rest of the weekend. So it really wasn't like I had 3 or 4 of those holes. And I did enjoy it. I really enjoyed the weekend. So definitely prepare myself psychologically for medal again, but only once a year. Cheapers. I can't believe the pros do that every single round for their livelihoods. JDV, what are we talking about today now that we are half an hour in?
Okay, well, let me try and keep it to 20 minutes. I don't think it will be much longer, but we are talking today about a little experiment that they did in America in 1984, which was they were trying to find out what an average golfer would shoot around TPC Sawgrass. And you know, you've often had those sorts of questions, you know, watching the Masters, and they say, oh, well, you know, someone who is scratched wouldn't be able to break 90 or whatever the case is. So in 1984, the guys, the editors at Golf Digest thought, no, that we're going to get around and we're going to find an average player to see what they would shoot at TPC Sawgrass under tournament conditions from the back tees. It went a bit step further, and they decided, no, we're not actually going to find out what an average golfer would shoot around these conditions. We want to find out what a really bad golfer would shoot in these conditions off the tips with all of the Sunday flags. So they came up with the following criteria to determine, you know, you don't want to get someone who's like a new to golf or like plays once a year and the rest of it. So they wanted to find people that were avid golfers.
I feel like I'm about to get bullied, Joe.
And yes, please just jump in, guys, where you want to. If you want to ask questions or get clarity, please come in where you can. But this is what the criteria that they came up with, that the player that the worst avid golfer they were looking for had to have no physical handicaps, needed to be old enough to qualify for the mid-am, so that's older than 25, but not old enough for the senior am, which is 55, so a golfer between 25 and 55. They must have an established handicap of at least 36, which was the minimum for men at the time, and they must play more than 21 rounds a year. So that was a criteria. So, I mean, the criteria is clearly someone who's not good at golf, but someone who is avid golfer that plays a lot. And
what do you mean by at least 36?
So it had to be a 36 handicapper or less. So the maximum allowance for a handicap. So if you were a 35 handicapper, you could play.
Okay.
Okay, so then what happened is that they decided they were going to invite 4 of these players. There was a huge bunch of applications that were made, you know, mates that were saying, you know, Terence, you and I would say, well, let's get Hoff, let's put Hoff down,
someone.
Put his resume in there. What they did is the guy went around, the sort of the editor went
and
around.
Obviously had to be an avid golfer, clearly. That's just the title.
They brought it down to what they called the Dirty Dozen, that were sort of the shortlisted worst avid golfers. And the guy actually went and met them and played around a golf with them to establish their bona fides, to see whether they would make it into the final 4 that got to play this round. So anyway, this idea came out, and there were scratch handicaps and pros and the rest of it that were saying that this was sacrilege. You know, how could they, you know, all of these purists saying, how could you know, besmirch TPC Sawgrass like this, letting this sort of a spectacle take place. And to Dean Beeman's credit, who was the tour commissioner at the time, and who actually ended up being the rules official on the day that they got these 4 players playing, he said if we left golf to the purists and scratch handicaps, there would be no clubs left. And I think for the Go Track and for someone who's the PGA Tour commissioner to come out and say something like that at that time, I mean, good for him. I mean, I agree with that wholeheartedly, that, you know, you shouldn't be... The game is way more than, you know, the scratchers and the purists and the
Go Track is all about the little guy out there. Come on. That's
and
we're all about the double-digit handicappers. Come on.
So it's,
I'm in agreement with that.
Hoffman, I mean, you must be...
I was about to say how the mighty have fallen in terms of the commissioners that are around now, with Jay Monahan and that. But, yeah, I mean...
All about the money.
I was going to say, when you said average golfer, I thought you meant sort of, you know, not average in terms of playing, but numbers. And out of that, I think there's, 90% of people that have a handicap are going to be handicaps around my sort of number.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm all into something like this, you know, some high quality bullying.
What is do you know roughly what, like, on a global sense of like golfers, what the sort of number of the handicap breakdown is?
So I know that the Handicaps Network had the average score. I can have a look if it's still there, but I remember it being somewhere around 15 for South Africa. And I think the ladies were about an 18 or maybe a bit worse. But I recall 15, the average golf, or the average handicap being 15 in South Africa.
I thought it would be a bit higher.
So did I.
Look,
on a global
that
sense,
was a couple of years ago that I remember.
On a global scale, I reckon it's got to be closer to 18 or 20. But anyway, I mean the point is that a lot of the golf that we see is not really representative of most of the golf that's played.
Exactly. Well, I mean, you just have to play it any Saturday to know that that's not what you're watching on TV. But this was on TV. This was fully televised with a group of people when they picked their four, which I'll get into now. And it was held the week after the 1985 US Open. So this was going to be the world's worst, at least America's worst avid golfer. So these were the four players that they had. They had a man called Angelo Spagnolo. He was, I think, a grocer. They had Jack Pulford, a restaurant owner, Joel Mosser, a stockbroker, and Kelly Ireland, an attorney. So those were the four guys that played. And just to give you some stats before we get into the actual meat of it.
Who's your money on, just without knowing what happens at the end?
Attorney.
Not a bad call. But just to give you an idea, after one round, they had a combined score of 836.
Jeepers.
They made 17 whiffs, put 102 balls into the water, and were assessed 124 penalty strokes over 18 holes.
Word. That's way worse than I thought it would be.
Wait, hang on. The four of them had a combined score of
836. Don't think about it too hard because you'll find out why shortly. Just some other notable stats. Out of the four of them, not one of them hit any greens in regulation. They didn't score a single par. They got one bogey, 8 double bogeys, and 63 others in inverted commas. So that was the stats.
Do we know what their handicaps were?
I don't have the actual handicaps, but I imagine they were all.
They must have all been in the 30s.
All in the 30s.
I mean, not hitting a single green in regulation. I know it's a pro setup, but I mean.
So let me just give a shout out. I am reading this from the Golf Digest article, so that's where the majority is. But there's also a good YouTube clip that's up where you can actually watch some of the video footage that they took. I mean, they had all of the big media companies there on the day. They had Newsweek, Time.
It's rubbernecking, Like, I mean, you talked about it earlier, but it couldn't have been live. I mean, because how do you do a TV window for that?
No, I don't think it was live. I mean, it's
highlights package.
8 hour marathon. So
sounds way better than the PGA Tour at the moment.
So I mean, we'll get to the story, but maybe worth just Hoff. One of the players, and I won't spoil who this is yet, took how much. So the 17th at TPC, it's the Island Green. So what do you think he took on that par 3 17th? Bearing in mind, Terence has run us through his. What was it? Your 9 that you got at the par 3 at
So score-wise, when you say what did he take, not club-wise.
No. What is the score? He took a number of clubs.
I would imagine he used a few.
I don't know. 25?
Higher.
35?
Higher.
65?
Almost.
62?
66.
Good heavens.
So
imagine writing that.
But that, as you say, they must all be in the 30s. Because, I mean, I would like to think that I would at least hit the green eventually.
Well, look, and we'll get there. He hit the green a couple of times, but with his shot shape, there was no way that green was holding his shot shape.
Because there you have the option, right, to re-tee, or there's a drop zone on the left. Yes. And often it's interesting when you watch the pros, a lot of them re-tee. Because apparently that drop zone on the left is not...
Yeah, it's actually
it's not exactly like a straightforward shot.
But 66.
Well, you'll find out why he hit 66. I'll get into that aspect of it. But he did follow it up with a good 22 on the 18th.
Improvement, that's massive.
The 18th is not an easy hole.
So was that the single highest score on a hole? Do you know?
I'm not sure if that's the highest. It's certainly the highest, probably televised score.
That's 63 over on one hole.
Well,
That's amazing. They must have each had like someone counting their shots for them, because there's no ways that they would be able to keep track with penalties, and it's so sick. They must have one of those like little cricket, those clickers that the umpires have. Click, click.
Well, they played the practice round first, so they managed. So it was a full-on. They treated them like tour pros for these 2 days. So they played a practice round.
Poor buggers, bro. Imagine how demoralized you.
No, they'd be worse by the time they actually start.
No. They treated them like tour pros. So they played a practice round. They had a full-on scorer walking with them. I mean, the tour commissioner was their rules official. So it was pretty high pressure.
There was a crowd, huh?
Yeah,
I think I've
that
seen a
was
clip
solid,
from it. Yeah.
So there's also a crowd following them, and I mean, Kelly, who I think is the attorney.
There must have been a paid crowd, eh?
No, I think they were basically mates and enemies. So Kelly, the attorney, said about the difficulty of TPC. I've never seen anything so hard in my life. On the 11th, the par 5, I used every club in my bag and was hitting 24 before I got to the fairway.
I mean, the scorers that walked along with them, I mean, they must have been like actuaries to keep up with what was happening.
Yeah.
Hey? Or like CAs.
Yeah.
I mean, as you say, how do you even... Yeah,
they probably had an abacus with them, maybe. They were just like, ding, ding.
Well, look, all 4 after the practice round were convinced that they would shoot better, and none of them shot better on the real day.
Did the 66 happen on the real day or the practice round?
The real day. So that was so... Yeah, they agreed after the practice round. They said 140 should be good enough for the win, but 140 would have been was nowhere near nowhere near in touch for any of those guys.
It was like the front 9 for the back 9 for that guy.
Exactly. So let me just read you the Golf Digest, and this I'm going to read them each because it's amazing writing.
Okay.
So what they say about each of these swing analysis. So firstly, we'll go to Angelo's swing. It says Angelo,
the grocer.
Angelo the grocer.
The grocer.
Angelo gives a new dimension to the word deliberate. He settles slowly down in a stance like a nesting chicken. And just as the egg is about to drop, he lashes quickly at the ball, sending his woods arching straight into the air while his irons rarely get more than shoulder high. One pro said, his grip is too strong, his stance is too closed, and his visor is too low. Q comment from Hoff about my scrum cap at school. So Kelly's swing. Kelly, a small man who plays in a cloth cap, does not have a bad swing, but he rushes it terribly, as if he were stealing apples from Farmer Brown's orchard and wants to get out of there before he gets caught. Joel, on the other hand, takes his time. He stares at the ball as if it were the last one on earth, and he seems loath to put it in the air lest it disappears, taking the entire game of golf away with it. Jack's swing, in some ways, is the most puzzling of the 4. It looks terrific. His waggle and practice swings are excellent. But just before the moment of impact, it is as if inside his body a spare needle has been inadvertently left behind by an indifferent acupuncturist. Swings turn into spasms and the ball flies off in an oblique angle. So those are the 4 swings that we're working with.
God, I wonder if like during the broadcast, if they had like an analysis where they broke down can you imagine in slow motion? I mean, it's incredible.
Well, let's get to the match. Tournament got underway shortly before noon in front of a good-sized crowd, including 14 television camera crews. So can you imagine the pressure of being like told you're the cuckest golfer we could find, and here's 14 camera crews in a crowd watching you, plus the tour commissioner as your rules official. So anyway,
it's a total like Big Brother setup, eh? Let's just pick the biggest societal fuck ups and put them
like
together in a room.
Team and everything.
Yeah.
Jim Nance and the boys.
I don't know if it was Jim Nance necessarily, but it was a full-on.
Pretty sure they didn't get Jim Nance there.
But Jack, his ex-wife, came to watch him, and they thought, well, this is a nice gesture from her, and so asked her about it. She said, "I've come here to watch Jack make a fool of himself, and I know he won't let me down."
Oh, this is reality TV. This is early reality TV, right?
Yeah. So, anyway, Jack, and so what we had is they had Jack and Kelly took their turns. Jack showed us the first of his infinite variety of shanks and winged one directly into the woods. Kelly, careful aim and bounced the drive into the grass beaches left of the first tee. So these were their tee shots before they even got going. So Hoff, I mean, for you, I mean, what sort of a shot do you think you would take with that sort of pressure? I mean, bearing in mind that you've got 14 camera crews and everyone watching you.
Cheapers. I don't even know, Jacques. Like, I'd be so I mean, I was nervous for like Ryder Mag and those kinds of things. Now you beaming this to pretty much the whole of the United States. I'd confidently say that I would be topping the first one on the tee. 100% topping it into whatever Clatine is 6.5 meters in front of me.
Well,
so not far off these guys, to be honest.
Well, look, I mean, it was a tough scene. So
I mean, I'd talking about those analysis of the swings. I mean, I'd hate someone to describe mine. One of those was pretty. I think the one about spasms was probably as close to mine as you could get.
Good practice swings.
It just reminded me of a story, but a friend of mine who I think I mentioned the other day, Smelly. I'm gonna name and shame him now on the podcast. But he was telling me when I was in Kruger with him the other day about he played at the River Club recently for the first time. You know, the River Club, like, you know, supposed to be whatever, the Augusta of South Africa. And he said there was a decent size. He was playing at like midday, so he said there was like a decent sized crowd, like, you know, oaks gathered on the porch having lunch, drinks or whatever. And he reckons he tops his drive, his first tee shot, and he reckons it goes maybe like 4.5 meters, and then it just dribbles down like the front of the tee box, like down to like an awkward like length where you can't exactly like re-tee. You know, the members are expecting you to play.
You got to play it from there.
Play it as it lies. And there was just he said there was just this like groan in the clubhouse, like these like defacing our beautiful course.
Yeah, I've been there. I mean, I think on the 8th at Cotswold. How long was my drive? Like 30 centimeters. My tee went further than the ball.
It's basically every time I play with Hoff, it's the one thing I say is that Hoff teed his ball up and he managed to hit his driver square like under the ball, and all he hit was the tee, and the ball like finished where his tee used to be.
It's a real skill, though.
Well, I said I was like I've seen Oaks try to do that as like a trick shot. Like, I mean, that's actually pretty impressive.
And you talk about your car crash after having like taking like a 9 on a par 3. Try and hit a tee shot
again
after having hit your tee from underneath the ball
with your playing partners rolling with laughter.
It's the most nerve-wracking thing I think I've ever done. And now, as Jacques says, every single time we approach that tee, every single person that played in that day tells me, "Hey, Hoff, do you remember when?"
What hole's this?
The 8th.
I must remember to remind you of
so
that next time I play there with you.
My tee went into like that reed area in front of the tee box, and my ball literally dropped where the tee was. Everyone was looking up like, "Jeepers, that sounded like a good connection," and then only to look down and see my ball there. I mean, looked like I'd be a perfect fit for this.
Even this weekend, I was properly nervous hitting my tee shots on both days of Club Champs, and there were maybe 10 people standing around the tee box.
But I mean, I don't like playing with people I don't know, let alone like TV cameras.
Yeah. No.
Well, for this very reason, because I'm literally like a walking car crash on the golf course.
Well, I mean, you were asking about what they shot after 9 holes. So by the time they got to the turn, 2 races had developed. One for first place and one for last. Joe had fired a nifty 75 and was leading Kelly by 14 shots after 9 holes.
70, I mean, that's not as bad as I thought it would be.
I was going to say.
75 after 9 holes, yeah. At the other end of the scale, Jack was holding on to last place with 104. But Angelo was slowly squandering shots. Now we get to some of the turning points. 15th is a sleepy 426-yard par 4, but it requires a needle-sharp carry over 150 yards of sand and water to get to the fairway, guarded by trees on the left. Joel put his first in the water, then his second, then his third. Hitting 7, Joel put a ball into the muddy bank. He hit again, but the ball stayed roughly where it was. Shout out Hoff. Then he took a penalty. From there, it gets a little murky. But by the time Joel was hitting 10, he was essentially back at the tee. He finally got his ball on dry grass in 16 and wound up with a 25. One of his posse said, "You should have hit it into the trees and bounced it along," hissed one of his foursome. "I was trying to hit it into the trees." He is back. he got the golfer's tragedy, and this hit a little close to home. You rely on a duck hook all day, and then just when you need one most, what you get is a case of the chronic straits. It happens to the best of us.
Feel you.
How often do you sit there and say, yes, my shot shape is a massive like slice or whatever, and then you get a hole where you know that Four Brothers video where you know how people with a slice walk to a dogleg right and they like just let it rip. But I mean, you get to that hole and you're like, right, now I'm just going to swing at it and my slice is going to take over, and you either hit it straight or you hit a draw and you're just like, oh, how is that possible?
Yeah, I know that feeling all too well. Just reminds me of one of the holes at Club Champs this weekend where on the first day, my playing partner, it's now the 14th at Gowrie, so it's that one where the dam's all the way down your right. And there are those humps on the left. You remember that par 3? Yeah. So I that tee shot makes me feel very uncomfortable. That's the shot where I'm like, I always hit a left to right, you know. So you got to aim way left, and then when you try to do that, you end up pulling it, you know, and you end up behind those humps. But anyway, my playing partner, like he was a reasonable golfer, and he caught one in the teeth, like so thin, and it was going down low, right next to where that bridge is, and as he hit it, both of us just started shouting, skim, skim. And he literally skimmed it one bounce off the water, up onto the bank, like literally rolled up into the fairway about like 15 meters short of the green. He chips to the front of the green, and now the greens are running fast. He then putts off the green, and his ball goes into the hazard because there's like, he putts from the front of the green, past the hole, down the bank, and his ball runs into the hazard. It was, yeah. Car crashes too many.
Well, let's get to the car crash of the day, which was this 66 on the 17th. So it took 1 hour to play this hole for Angelo, 1 hour to play a par 3. So all told, there were 3 whiffs and 27 balls in the water. And it says here, unfortunately, a hip-high wedge shot, which was the basic building block of Angelo's short game, is of limited use in trying to both carry water and stick it onto a small green. He actually put 7 shots onto the green, but all skipped over. All right, so what happened at the end? Sorrowfully, he dropped a ball on the cart path and began to putt down the road, over the bridge, and finally onto the green.
No ways. Are you serious? He putted it round along the cart path.
That's what happened.
And then across the bridge.
He then, once he was on the green, 3-putted for a 66. Says, let me tell you something about Angelo Spagnolo. In enduring perhaps 40 minutes of public humiliation, he did not wince or cry aloud. At no time did a single whispered blasphemy escape his lips. He took 66 without a curse. Angelo has either the makings of a Christian saint or has the most limited vocabulary of any man who has ever played golf.
He's a grocer, man. He's used to like his produce going off, you know, like what can you do? He obviously rolls with the punches, you know?
Well, the commissioner did say at the end, he declared...
A lot of punches.
Yeah, he declared the cart path leading to the green Angelo's alley after that. So next time you watch the players, when they walk along there, they're walking along Angelo's alley to the green.
Very different to Hogan's alley at Carnoustie, which is the shortcut down that hole. That's quality. But as I say, you know, he's probably had a situation where he's arrived at work and all his cabbages have gone off, you know. And
yeah, I mean...
that's just how he's probably got to roll with it. The attorney would never have handled that. He would have blamed someone else. And
100%.
He would have probably sued TPC. He would have litigated halfway through.
So what happened at the end? Angelo solidified his hold on last place with his neat 22 on the 18th. Joel carded a 10 and could do nothing except sit in the clubhouse and hold his breath and hope that Kelly could not manage the last 2 holes in 37 or less. Kelly steeled himself for the challenge, and with only 7 balls in the water and a bounced whiff, he 2-putted his way to an 18 on the 17th. Teeing off on the final hole, he said, I have my strategy. Stay out of the water and the sand. Good thinking, and it paid off. Kelly, the only one of the 4 to break 100 on the back 9. Got to the 18th green in 5 and drained a glorious 24-foot putt for a 6 and attained the victory as the best of the worst.
No ways.
And then just at the
So they were playing in 2 balls?
Playing two balls,
Oh
yeah.
my
And then
God.
at the end, Angelo was asked what he was
Pace of
going to.
play must have been really tough.
Angelo was asked at the end, what's he going to do next? He thought for a moment, smiled broadly, and said, "Take lessons." That, gentlemen.
So was Angela the one whose ex-wife was there?
No, I think
Okay.
that might have been Kelly. I'll tell you now.
Okay. I'd love to know if she stuck around for the
No,
prize
it was
giving.
Jack.
Jack,
Jack's
okay.
ex-wife. He was
Okay.
the
So the
restaurant owner.
attorney Kelly won.
Yeah, Kelly,
Ah.
the attorney, won it.
Good call, Hoff.
Kelly Ireland, an attorney.
I see some serious similarities in my life and his.
JDV, that was fantastic. Thank you.
So I've got just
good
a couple of
research.
questions, guys,
Yeah.
for you guys after that.
Yeah.
Firstly, I would be saying, what do you think the worst avid golfer? And I'm just trying to think, what do you think the toughest? And I've thought about this. The toughest course I think in SA, off the tips, is probably Gowrie Player Country Club. Just off the tips. I mean, if you go and have a look at where the club tees are and where the tips are, and I mean, if they played. If like you were to pick what you would shoot off the tips at Gowrie Player playing medal after, let's say, the Nedbank, I think it probably would be something quite similar.
What, like 200 over?
No, okay, maybe not that bad.
Well, I suppose it depends who's playing. Depends
Yes.
on their handicap.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, if you got a bunch of like 30 odd handicappers playing off the
yeah.
tips,
Oh no. Yeah.
Gowrie
I
Player.
mean,
I think
So-
that's a little bit too much of a train wreck though. Like I would be saying, like someone like me, with what's my handicap index? I don't know, 23, there and thereabouts. Sort of goes up and down pretty
Yeah.
regularly. I mean, I reckon it would be a car crash, quite a severe one, but not like that.
do you think you'd break 150?
At TPC Sawgrass,
No, at Gowrie Player.
if I didn't play a practice round, maybe.
So you
If
reckon
I
you'd
played a
get
practice
worse?
round, I would 100% get worse. I'd probably shoot like 130 followed by like 200. I mean, you've seen my swing, Jacques. I mean, when things deteriorate, there's nothing left.
Well, the issue that you've got at Gowrie Player as well is that a lot of it's just bush.
well,
so it's
so that's
so
what
easy to lose
I'm
your ball.
thinking. But if you've got a crowd out there and if you've got ball spotters and that, at least you're up there. You can find your ball. You're probably taking an unplayable, but you're advancing. You know, you're not
So-
re-teeing.
So talking about that reminds me of my brother told me a story when they were at Nedbank last year. You know Jordan, that English golfer, he's like sort of onto the scene now. I don't know what his first name is. Jordan. I
Matthew
think.
Jordan, yeah.
So Matt Jordan hit one and like into the rough there, and my brother and my dad were like traipsing around the bush helping him look for this ball. And I mean, he was asking them to help him look for his ball there. So my brother finds this ball. He's like, "Is this your ball?" Sean asks, and Jordan's like, "What type of ball is it?" So Sean's top flight. It's like, "No, that's not my ball."
Oh, I wish it was a Tony Penner.
Oh shit! I think they went a bit extreme with the golfers they chose. I agree
100%.
with Carl. I think it would be far more interesting if you got like an 18, like
Like an
18,
average in terms of
Yeah.
how many golfers are out there. What is the average handicap? Okay, it's
Yeah.
20. Let's find.
Because then the car crashes are still epic, but they're not like every hole. You're almost like waiting with bated breath for the 20 or something.
So they
like that.
do have a monthly mug once a year at Cotswold where you play off the black tees. So everyone plays off so it's white tees are the members
Medal.
tee, then medal. So it's white tees members, then the yellow tees, which is like good golfers, and then the black tees who are. I mean, if you walk along the black tees, you
When
can't see a
is
single
that?
divot mark.
When is
like-
that? So I can book the film crew to follow.
Well, that's what I was going to say is that
I
I
knew
think
this
we
was
should.
coming. I knew this was coming.
I was about to say I think we might have to put our names down for that monthly mug off the black tees.
Okay, listen here. Okay, I would do this, but not at monthly mug, because I don't want those. Like, I'd have to do it with like you two. It needs to be in a controlled environment where, because I mean, if it's a car crash, it's going to be a car crash on whatever footage you take in that. But at least that's later. You know, it would be horrible for me to go to a prize giving afterwards, having shot 165 or
But
something.
for
like
me, that puts the pressure in where we need it. I mean, there's nothing better than to see Hoff playing off the black tees at a monthly mug, and with guys just piling up at the stroke one after you've hit
Can't-
four
can't-
OB on right.
can't- I
saying,
mean-
why is this like playing off the black tees?
I mean, we're jumping to such intense like extremes here. I mean, can't I play Cotswold off the whites, medal. That's going to be a car crash enough.
No.
And then if that car crash is not bad enough, then I'll play off the black tips.
You see, I want that. You see, that's like slowly turning up the water in a boiling pot. I want you to jump into that boiling pot straight away.
I mean, if you're going to do it, you may as well just do it.
It's going to tear apart my golf goals for the year. Because I don't think I'd ever play golf after
What
this
if
again.
we got another golfer with
I'm
the
not
same,
like, what's his name? Tony Spagliato, who doesn't have a blaspheme or anything after that. I'll be throwing clubs.
It'd be more interesting if we had like a match play situation.
So
going
maybe
on
Hoff
out there.
versus Ford off the black tees could be quite interesting.
Yeah. But we'll have to work out when they're not going to be worried about pace of play there. Because it's metal.
Look, I mean, if you go off, then you're worried about, I suppose, daylight. But I was saying, if you go off monthly mug and you like the last tea time, and you say, look, guys, you carry on with prize giving.
Yeah.
We'll let you know if we're in it.
Let you know when we finish.
We'll WhatsApp you if we're in
Oaks, with my shot shape on my driver, playing off the black tees at Cotswold, it could be as traumatic as some of those.
But you might be surprised because it's a completely different golf course, eh? I mean,
what? Play my tee shot from the black tee to the yellow tee, and then from the yellow tee.
No, I mean, I've played some courses where you go back, and suddenly you're like, oh, it's actually a hell of a lot wider where your drive's landing. You're still hitting like 4 irons into the greens, but I think I'm in to be an observer and a filmer.
We'll play it. So, I mean, you get a 4-board together. So I mean, we'll find someone else off that. You're not going to take all the.
I'll only play it if there's some really decent bets here. So I need if I'm having a good day, I need to be properly rewarded, Alex. If I'm having a bad day, then you can laugh at me. That's fine. You laugh at me every Saturday you play golf with me. But if it's a good day, like if I end up beating one of you Alex on points, then there has to be some serious fines for you.
No. I'm happy to put many a bet on it. That's only going to make the pressure more.
And maybe a little bit like the match between Tiger and Phil, where we have some in-course, in-hole bets where, depending on the nature of the car crash, just to keep you
interested.
Because, I mean, if I'm out after like 5 or 6 holes, I mean, Jacques, I mean, this could be like next round in 9 months' time.
No, but it'll be a completely different round of golf. I promise you. You'll be playing a completely different with a completely different strategy and attitude. You'll be hitting like 7 irons. You'll be laying up on every par 4.
Par 4s will become par 5s.
Yeah,
my palms are already sweating.
It's.
But I'm in. I mean, this is what we got out there.
Awesome. I must say, like the one thing, I don't know if somebody put that take out there after the Masters where they said if you started on the greens, you would still lose to the pros. I
think they were saying in certain positions on some of those greens.
At Augusta. Yeah. And I must say, like this weekend, like at Gowrie, and I'm not making a comp, but with contoured greens and the speed of, like, I'm sure Cotswold would be the same. Holy smokes. Like, I could totally see that happening. Where, I mean, this weekend, like a 3-putt was often like a solid result on a hole. Do you know what I mean? Like, I saw so many Oaks, like 5-6 putts, balls off green. It's so, and you can imagine Augusta's just dialed up even more than that. So,
but I mean, forget about Augusta. Like, your story about the bunker. I mean, if I get in a bunker at the moment, that's it. Give me a ring, I'm gone, So if I can play off the black tips and avoid bunkers,
you must come to Gowrie.
I'd like to actually...
There's no bunkers there.
I like my chances, but if I get into bunkers and I'm playing metal, then, I mean, I could get to like the 11th green, which is a tough green, and I could be like 12 in, 13, 14 in already.
I can't wait for this.
Yes, yeah.
But anyway, we'll do our edition of.
So when we say at the beginning of the show that the Go Track is here for the average golfer out there, it's actually here to laugh at the average golfer out there.
No, I think it'll be a great exercise, but I think we got to have like 2 in each category. We need 2 golfers that are like of even, whether it's me and you, and then Hoff and whoever's, in that thing. Because it's a hell of a thing when you're reteeing and reloading, and you can win a hole with like a 13, So it's quite invigorating, Hoff.
Well, I mean,
we may be decimating your golf goals for 2024.
Yeah, we'd have to put those on pause.
Imagine he gets an eagle on the
exactly. You'll be freed up out there,
I don't know if I'll be freed up. I think I'll be quite tense for a little while. But
I
I mean, Jacques talks about like taking a 10 as like a bad thing. Like, I mean, that 18th, I can't take a 10 because 9 is my max if I'm not playing metal, of course. But I've got a lot of 9s on that hole. Like, I've finished 6, 8, 9 at Cotswold many times. Many times. But you know what? I'm in. You know, let's see what happens.
Awesome. Are we wrapped up here?
Yeah, that wraps up the worst avid golfer.
Thank you, JDV. That was a hell of a entertaining. I had seen some clips from that worst golfer before, but I didn't know a lot of those details. The 800 plus over what was the worst? Did they give the breakdown of what was the worst guy?
So I told it to you now.
He must have been like plus 300 or something. It must have been the grosser. Anyway.
So I will tell you this. If Angelo had played in that tournament, he would have missed the second day cut by the 14th hole of the first day. When he still had 111 shots more to play. His final score equaled the tour record low 72-hole score of 257.
Equaled? So
his
he was 257.
So his one round equaled the record low for 4 rounds of the pro.
Yeah. But yeah, I think what would be really interesting is if they did that at like an Augusta, with like a 10 handicappers or something, and then you would really see, because that really will show you how good these pros are.
He shot a 257 over that 18 holes.
That was the worst.
That's the worst, Joe.
Shout out Angela. And he became infamous. I'm sure his grosser business went through the roof after that, probably.
Oh yeah, no. Well, they became minor celebrities, all 4 of them. I mean, they like played in charity golf days and the rest of it together.
Sick. All right, guys. Well, that was very entertaining. We will probably reconvene for the US Open, which I think is 2 weeks' time, huh? Plus, we have a couple of other episodes lined up with, looking at some of KZN's. We've done our top 5 KZN par 5s. We're now looking at the par 3s and par 4s as well. So, cool, guys. It's been real.
Thanks, gentlemen. Been a goodie.
Thanks, gents. I look forward to being bullied further in due course.